Have you found yourself wanting to create your own rhinestone templates, but you feel intimidated or afraid because you just don't know where to start? If so, let me help you today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. This is this is what we're making today. I'm making bags for the ladies in my book club. This one is mine, of course, is going to be red. This one is Lindsay's, and I also have made one for Melissa. I am going to take you step by step through making a rhinestone template. Now, we are not doing a template that is completely filled in. We are using single line sketch fonts. I'm going to show you the full process, how to get to Silhouette Studio Business Edition. You will need the Business Edition. I'm also going to show you some of my favorite single line sketch fonts, where I got them from. I'm also going to show you how to create your own template in Silhouette Studio, save it as an SVG, and then bring the file over to Cricut Design Space or whatever cutting software you're using. At the end of this video, if you find it helpful, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications, because I do upload new content every single week. Now, before we go and look at materials, when you see me review the materials, you'll see that I am going to say that I'm using bags like this, because initially I was going to use these little bags, but I made the templates too big for these bags and I ended up using these bags instead. Both options will be linked below the video in case you make your template small enough for these. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The materials I'm using for this tutorial include my Cricut Maker. You could do this from any full-size Cricut cutting machine. I'll use Cricut mats. This is called a template mat. I'll place the rhinestone templates here to keep them so I can use them over and over again. This can be purchased from Eve at the babiesbooty.store. All of the rhinestones that I'm using were also purchased from the babiesbooty.store. I'm using the SS6 size rhinestones. This is called a trim painter. You can purchase these from Lowe's or Home Depot in the paint department. I'm using these canvas bags that I purchased from Amazon, a wax pen to help me when transferring the rhinestones. This is called rhinestone flock. This is a special type of flock that's used when you are working with hot fix rhinestones. This is KTM mask. You can purchase this from Heat Transfer Warehouse, or you can also purchase a version of this from the babiesbooty.store. It is called tacky tape, hot fix type tacky tape. In addition to these materials right here, I'll be using that heat press that's back there. It is a StarCraft clamshell 15 by 15. And I will be demonstrating how you upgrade to Silhouette Studio Business Edition. Let's head over to the computer and do that now. The first thing you're going to do is go to the silhouetteamerica.com website. When you get there, the first thing I suggest you do is click on software. What you're going to do is download the version of the software that matches your computer. So if you're using a Windows-based operating system, you'll click here. If you're using a Mac, you'll click here. I'm using a Windows-based operating system, okay? So I could click here. If I don't already have the software, this is with the starting point, right? But I do have the software, and let's just say it's time for me to upgrade to the Business Edition. I can click Buy Upgrade and look at the different options. So when I scroll down from this website, you can see the different options. If you have the Basic Edition, this will allow you to print. A lot of people like to use Silhouette Studio to print because your options are multifaceted. You have a lot of options when you're printing from here. When you're ready to use the rhinestone panel, If you don't have a silhouette cutting machine and you want to just create your templates and then export them into other software programs like Cricut Design Space, Leonardo Design Studio, or any other cutting system software, you will need the basic edition. The current price of it for now is $69.99. That is a one-time fee. It does not ever change. If there are upgrades, that fee covers everything. Okay. Now, if you're looking here and you can see, the different things that come with the different options. There's the designer edition plus, and the business edition. If you scroll down, you can see that the rhinestone feature is available in the designer edition plus. However, if you only upgrade to the designer edition plus, you will not have the option to save your files as SVGs. And that's what you'll need in order to use the files in Cricut Design Space. So what I'm suggesting you do is go from wherever you are with Silhouette Studio and upgrade to the business edition. That's the feature that I'll be using in this tutorial, is the business edition. Okay. So we're going to use the business edition. Let's move over and get our fonts downloaded after we've done this part. I am on the Creative Fabrica website, and the first thing I'm going to do is a search for single line sketch fonts. And because I'm a Creative Fabrica All Access Yearly Plan member, all of these fonts are included with my membership. So right here, I'm showing you what some of my favorite single line sketch fonts look like. So there's Norfleet and Mugsy and Boisterous. All of these that you see here, I already have downloaded. The only one I don't have downloaded is this one called Thin Dotted Font, but all of these others, I have downloaded them. These are also available on the Design Bundles website for an additional fee. However, I'm going to download them from here because they're included with my plan. Once you find the fonts that you like from here, my next suggestion is to go over to the Design Bundles website and see if there are others that catch your eye or others that you like and you might want to download. This is the Design Bundles website. And remember, I suggest starting with Creative Fabrica because if you have the Creative Fabrica plan, you'll get the free ones there and you can look here for any additional fonts. So some of these, anywhere you see a green download option, that means I already have installed that one. Any of the others I haven't installed. So Coffee Shop, Holiday Sparkle, Christmas cards, any of these you see here, I love them, and you'll see me use them in this tutorial. Barn Acre, there's Garoline. Remember that was on the Creative Fabrica website. Boisterous Sketch, Pen Setter, all of those were, I already downloaded those from the Creative Fabrica website. There's Norfleet. You can see there's an additional $8 fee on the Design Bundles website. Okay, so go through here and see if there are any you like. I have already linked my favorites below this video. Get the fonts installed first before you open Silhouette Studio. Once you do that, then head over to Silhouette Studio. I am in Silhouette Studio, and right now you're looking at what the basic edition looks like. Over here, all the way to the right, these are called panels. These are just panel icons. If you are unfamiliar with Silhouette Studio and these icons really are, unfamiliar to you and you're not sure what they mean, you can also look right here at the top option. There's a tab called panels, and there is like a brief description of what they look like. What you'll need in order to use the Rhinestone panel and save your files, remember you're going to need the business edition. So let's look at what the business edition looks like. First, let's look. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There are 15 panels in just the regular basic edition. Let's see how it looks with the business edition. So I'm going to click on View In. So there's the designer edition. Designer Edition Plus, which has the rhinestone panel without the export feature. Then there's the Business Edition. The Business Edition adds more panels over here to the right. What I also suggest you do is once you open up the Business Edition is come over here to the bottom right and click on the Open Preferences panel. There's looks like a little wheel. When you click over here, you'll have the option to change what your view looks like. So right here on the defaults tab, right now on my panel mode, I have it on the flexible panel. If this is your first time opening Silhouette Studio, yours probably looks like the single panel mode. You can change this. Single panel mode means that only one panel can be open at a time. If you change your option to flexible panel mode, that means you can open multiple panels at one time. I'm suggesting that you use either flexible panel or multiple panel. Sometimes this multiple panel mode can be overwhelming because if I continue to open panels, there'll just be a lot of panels open at one time. I suggest using the flexible panel mode. Click OK. Okay, so now this is my page setup panel. Let's look at it. For machine, I have none. Cutting mat, none. Media size, I suggest changing yours to 12 by 12. The reason why I suggest that is because that is the standard size of a cutting mat, right? So if you're using Cricut, the standard size is 12 by 12. The next thing I suggest you do is go over here to the left, click on the A. I'm going to type my name, Delonda. I'm going to type with a capital Delonda. Okay. And I am going to just resize it just a little bit. Now I'm going to look at one of those fonts that we just installed on our computer. When you install your font on your computer, it will automatically go into Silhouette Studio if you don't have the software open. If the software is already open, you have to close it out and then reopen it. So I'm going to resize it just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to click right here and start to look at some of those fonts. So this one is called BFC Sunshine Sketch. This is one of my favorites. This is one from Design Bundles that is not available on Creative Fabrica. I'm going to open it up bigger. Okay, and I'm going to open the Rhinestone panel. If I go over here to the right and scroll all the way down, the Rhinestone panel is the one that, to me, it kind of reminds me of a volleyball. Okay, I'll click on that, and the default is to the 10SS size. So here's the rhinestone effect. This is no effect. This is an outline effect. We're only going to look at these two today. This is no effect. This is the outline effect. There are two options that we like to use for rhinestones. There is the 6SS, which is a smaller rhinestone, and a 10SS, which is a larger rhinestone. Let me make the view on my screen bigger so you can see what that looks like. I'm also going to fill in these circles so you'll get a better view. Okay, so I'm coming back over here to the right. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth panel is called the fill panel. It will open up the color options. I'm going to fill mine in with black. Okay, so now you can see what that looks like. Now let's open a second panel. Let's open that rhinestone panel again. We can move our fill panel. Let's just move it over here to the bottom. And I'm going to click on the rhinestone panel and it'll open right here. Okay. That's the flexible panel. Okay, so here's my rhinestone panel. It's on 10SS. I can see if I wanted to make my name in this style, it will require me to use 216 rhinestones, but I don't want to use the 10SS. I actually want to use the 6SS. So I'm going to click on the 6SS. You see the rhinestones got a lot smaller. I'm also going to change my spacing to 0.015. Okay, so that brought the rhinestones in closer. Okay, I think this looks great. This is going to require me to use 322 rhinestones. It's important to pay attention to all of those things. Okay, so now I'm looking at this. I think it looks great and I like it, but I know I'm going to definitely resize this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is right click and I am going to click ungroup. And this will give me a more accurate view of the size of my template, because when your template or your text is still grouped, it's much bigger than it really is. It's not true to size. I'm going to ungroup it, and then I'm going to go back and click group. And now I can see this is the true size of my template. All right, so I can look at this and I can tell that the true size of this template is 10.3 by 4.315, and I'm going to make this bigger. Now, when I look at these rhinestones, I don't think that any of them are necessarily out of place, so to say, but if I look at them a little bit closer, I want to be sure that none of the rhinestones are touching. Okay, so I'm looking at this, I'm looking at my name, and I like it for the most part. I will add in a couple and maybe even move a few right here. All right, so I can look and see that I'm going to need 429 rhinestones for this if I'm using SS6 with a spacing of 0.015. However, if I wanted to make my name in SS10, I would need 343 rhinestones, and then I could make a lot of moves here. I do want to use the SS6 or the 6SS, and I'm going to click on release rhinestones. Okay. And I can see that there are little squares around each of these rhinestones, and that's exactly what I want, because now I can start to make some changes. So I'm going to click out of here, and I'm going to click on this first dot right here. I have one rhinestone selected. I'm going to click on the Alt key on my keyboard, and I'm going to move another rhinestone in between these two rhinestones right here. So let me make my view bigger and move up so you can see what I'm doing. So I have this rhinestone selected. I have the Alt key on my keyboard selected, and I can drag a rhinestone here in between those two letters. Okay. So now I can look and I can see that I like the way that looks a lot better. I also want to add in a rhinestone in between these two rhinestones. So I'm going to click right here, going to click on the Alt key, and I'm going to just add one stone here. I'm going to move this one down by using the arrow key on my keyboard, because you don't want any of your rhinestones to be touching. Okay, I think that looks great. All right, let me scroll over. My E looks perfect. Scroll over, the I is excellent. Okay, I like this. I like the O. I think it looks great. What I don't necessarily like is this right here. So I can click on this rhinestone and just move it over a little bit. I can click on this one, move it down. Just using the arrow key on my keyboard, I can move this one down and over a little bit. Click on this, move it down, move it over. Click on this, move it over, down, over and down. Okay. I think I want to actually click on all four of these. I'm going to hold my shift key and move all four of those down and over, down, over like that. And then I'll click here, move this one up. Like that. Okay, like that. All right, I think that looks so much better. I'll move this one down and over, down, down. And this one, I think I'll just move it over. I don't want to add another rhinestone. I think that looks great. All right. And then now let's keep moving over. I think everything looks okay here. I kind of just move this out and over like that. All right. Maybe I'll move it a little bit over. Okay. I think I want to add one up here. I'm going to click on the rhinestone. I'm going to move one up and over like that. I like it like that. And then I also want to add in one in between here. So I want to hold the Alt key, add one like that. That looks great. Hold the Alt key, add one right there. That looks great. Okay, let's move over. Let's move this down and over. Move that up. Okay. I think this looks, all right. I think this looks good enough. I'm kind of undecided on whether or not I want one there or if I just want to move this over. Okay, I think this is great. All right, so now let me bring the view back down and let's look at my name. I think it looks pretty good. Let me go back into this right here. This kind of gives me a little bit of All right, let's move that over. All right, I think that looks good. I think that looks great, actually. All right, and now right here, I have like 5 little dots at the bottom. Then over here, I have 4. And if that bothers you, you can make a change to that. I think it kind of bothers me a little bit. I think I want to add 1 dot next to this. I'm calling it a dot, but I mean a rhinestone. Okay, so I want to have 5 there. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. All right, I think that looks. I love it. I think this looks great. All right, now let me zoom out again and look at it again. I love it. I love it. All right, so now I'll select the whole template, the whole thing, right? And I can look at my template, and what I would do is write down the size of the template. So for my width, I'm going to write down 10.487. And for my height, I would write down 4.415. And I can tell that I need 435 rhinestones. So when you start making rhinestone templates, remember to write down the number of rhinestones so you'll know what to tell your customer or even what to tell yourself when you're placing your order for rhinestones. All right, so I think this is great. I'm going to select everything and move it here on top of this white, basically this mat. And now what I'll do is click on group. Okay, I want this to be grouped together. Then I'm going to click on it again, and I'm going to click Make Compound Path. When I click on Make Compound Path, it removes the color that's inside. So what I'm going to do is come back over here to the right panel, okay, over here to the right, and I'm going to come down to the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th panel, which is the fill panel, and I can fill it in with whatever color. And honestly, this part really doesn't matter in terms of what color you fill it in with, because what will matter is what color rhinestones you use, right? So I can fill this in with purple. I can fill it in with light purple or red or yellow or orange, whatever color. That doesn't matter at all. I'll just fill it in right now with black. And the next thing I'll do is come down to the panel right below that, which is the line style panel. In the line style panel, there are 2 options. There's the first panel that opens, but within the line style panel, there's another one called line color. Now I'm going to zoom out again. Hopefully you can see that there are red outlines. There's a red outline around each and every dot. And what I'm going to do is click on this box that looks like an empty box that doesn't have any color in it. And I'm going to remove the red lines. Clicking right there. Now I don't have any red lines. I can zoom back out. Okay, I think I love it. Okay, so now what I would do is I would click on File, and I would click on Save Selection. The selection is everything that I have selected, right? So right now I don't have anything selected. I'm going to click on my file. I'm going to click on File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, and I'm going to save this. I'm going to go into my Documents folder, and I'll create a new template. So I am going to click Save to Hard Drive. save to hard drive. And I'm going to go into my documents, and where's my I'll call this rhinestone name templates, and I'll open this, and I'm going to call this Delonda SS6, and the width is 10.487, and the height is 4.415. Okay, and save as type, I'm going to save this as an SVG. Okay, and I can click OK. All right, so now I have my name. Now, I have my font, I have everything. I know what the font was. So now I can go on and continue making the other names. Let's go through that process again. All right, so I'm going to click on text. I'm going to type the next name. So the next name I want to type is Melissa. Okay, and I can decide on the font. I'm going to look at those fonts again. I'm going to speed this part up. I'm going to follow that same process. So I've typed Melissa's name. Right now, this font is Pen Setter Line 2. This font is available on Creative Fabrica and Design Bundles. I have filled in her name with green because she does like the color green, and I kind of want to see what her name would look like. I'm going to go through the process of duplicating her name and just kind of playing around with the fonts until I find the one that really fits her name the best. I like a lot of them. This one is Simplify. This one is from Creative Fabrica. I kind of like that one. I also like Northfleet. I thought it was just too big in this case. I kind of just went through and played with all of them, resizing them and making sure I would find the one that fit her and her personality. This one is called BFC Luckiest Sketch. I kind of like that one too. I think I ended up going with BFC Honeymoon, but I played around with multiple fonts until I found the one that was perfect for her. I ended up going with the font called BFC Honeymoon Sketch from Design Bundles. I had to ungroup it and then group it back together to get the true size. Remember, I'm still using 6SS rhinestones, and I am using a spacing of 0.015. I love this font. I think it's going to look great. I'm taking account of the number of rhinestones, and then I'm going to click Release Rhinestones so I can get the squares and move any rhinestones that need to be moved. So I can see at the bottom of the M, or in the middle, I had 2 to move over there, 1 to move over by the E. Everything else looked good. In the L, the I is perfect. Both S's look good. I kind of fixed that A just a little bit. And once I had everything in place, I selected the full template. Okay, I zoomed out and got a better look at it, selected the full template. I wrote down the size of the template. That is very important. Her template is a width of 10.452 and a height of 3.904, and I had to use 394 rhinestones. Once I had that selected, I clicked Group. Then I clicked on Make Compound Path. I filled it back in with green. I went to Line Style and I removed that red outline. The next thing I did was click on File and Save Selection, and I saved her name with the same format that I saved mine. So save to hard drive. I'm going to name it Melissa SS6 with 10.452 by height 3.904, and I'm going to save it as an SVG and click OK. I moved Melissa's name out of the way, and I followed that same process for Lindsay's name. For Lindsay's name, I ended up going with the font called Bold Love Single Line, and I followed the same process that I did for mine and Melissa's name. I used that same heart that I had in Melissa's name to go over the I in Lindsay's name. Once I had all of the files shaped and formatted the way they needed to be, it was time to bring them over into Cricut Design Space. I am in Cricut Design Space. I'm bringing in the first file, which is my name. I'm going to verify the size. If I did not write it down, this is the time to write it down. I'm going to verify that the size matches the size of the template. And if it doesn't, I will make changes just by clicking unlock and making sure the numbers are accurate. Once I have the right numbers in place, then I can bring in Melissa's name and Lindsay's name. The size of the file has to match in Cricut Design Space. If it doesn't, make sure your numbers will match up. So I'm going to bring in Melissa's name, and then I'm going to also bring in Lindsay's name, double checking the numbers. And then once I have all three of our names imported into Cricut Design Space, I'm going to change all of the colors to black just so I can condense the number of mats. I don't really need to use 3 mats to cut this. So I'm going to change Melissa's name to black and also change Lindsay's to black. I'll click make. I'm going to save this so I don't have to go through this process again. And then we will click save. Once I click save, I'll just move my name down just a little bit. And I am going to choose the card stock with heavy card stock with more pressure setting. Heavy card stock, more pressure. Everything I'll do from here will be back on the camera. Okay, so I have my mat and I have my flock. I keep the backing on the flock. I don't take my, just kidding. I don't take the backing off. What I'm going to do is place the flock on the mat. And you can use a brayer to go over it. It's not really necessary. You can cut this the way you think is best. I'm showing you what has worked for me. So I have the flock flat on the mat. I'm going to insert this into my Cricut Maker. You can do this from a Cricut Maker. You can also use a Cricut Explorer. You can use any full-size Cricut cutting machine. Okay, so I'm going to put this on there and I am going to insert it. And I am going to click the flashing C to get started. Now this is going to take a while because the Cricut Maker typically takes a while to cut rhinestone flock. Okay, so there is my Cricut Maker. Hopefully you can see it well. I'm going to click the flashing C and we'll get started. This is going to cut my name and Lindsay's name. Okay. And I will speed this part up. While that's cutting, I will be grabbing my rhinestones and my other supplies. All right, so my first template has finished cutting. Let's see how it cut before we remove the mat from the machine. Just by peeling a piece of it back, we want to make sure that all of those holes, okay, that's looking good. Look at that. Okay, so there is my name. So I can remove this from the machine now. And I can insert the next mat into the machine and start cutting out Melissa's name. When this is finished, we will go to an overhead view so you can see my process of brushing in the rhinestone. Okay, we are at an overhead view. What I'm doing right now is removing the flock from the mat. The goal is to have all of the holes on the flock completely empty and have all of the dots stay back on the white part of the backing. So my name looks really good. I can see that there are like 2 or 3 flock dots still stuck in there. I will remove those and then get the flock placed on the template mat. Okay, and I'll just remove those 3 extras with a weeding tool. Before I was ready to brush in my templates, I made sure that all of them were cleaned up, starting with mine. And when I put my template on top of the bag, I realized I needed to use a bigger bag. I got all of the templates put on the template mat. So Lindsay's name is right below mine. I had to do more cleaning up with Melissa's name. Not sure why some of the flock dots just didn't cut, but that's fine. I cleaned them up with my weeding tool, and then it was time to start actually brushing in the rhinestones. Thank goodness I was able to find bigger bags, because look at Melissa's, it was just not going to work out. I was able to find bigger bags in my closet, and these bags will be a better fit for these big templates. Now it's time to brush in the stones. I'm starting with mine. I'm using Royal Cyan, which is a new color. I like to shake up the container to make sure that the rhinestones are not really stuck to the lid. I pour what I consider to be a generous amount, and then I just start to brush in the rhinestones. Use whatever method will work best for you as you're brushing them in. The goal is to brush each of those rhinestones in to the holes and make sure that they are all face up. So I'm continuing with this process. It's looking really, really, really pretty. And once I have them all brushed in, I will clean up and then cover it up with the KTM mask. The way to be successful with the mask is just not to hesitate. Just put it down fast. Don't hesitate. Just like that. And then go over it with your hand or a brayer to make sure that all of your rhinestones are adhered to the mask. I'm sorry that my table is shaking. It was likely connected to the light. All right, for Lindsay, I'm using still SS6. I'm using the Peridot color, pouring in a generous amount. I'm going to get them brushed in, and then once they are all brushed in, face up, all of the holes are completely filled in. I will follow that same process with the KTM mask. I'm going to peel off a piece, and I'm making sure not to hesitate. Just do it fast and then go on to the next part in the process. Here I am using a brayer, following the same process for Melissa's. For Melissa, I used, I think it was blue zircon, because I didn't want to use the same color for Melissa and Lindsay. After I had all three templates brushed in, it was time to move over to the heat press. I am at my heat press. The temperature is set to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to do a quick pre-press on each bag, maybe 5 seconds or so. And then I'm going to remove the template from the flock, making sure that none of the rhinestones are still stuck to the flock. So here I am with my name. I thought one of the rhinestones was stuck, but thankfully it wasn't. And since the bag is upside down, I'm going to put my name upside down. I'm going to put my name as centered as possible just by eyeballing it. And I'm going to press this with heavy pressure, 350 degrees for 15 seconds. The time is up. I'm going to peel away the KTM mask from the bag to reveal the beauty. This is how mine turned out, and you already know I'm going to say I love it. Let's move on and do Lindsay's bag next, still starting with a quick pre-press. I'm pressing much longer than I should right here, but I'm going to pre-press. Add her name. Look at that beautiful peridot. Add her name in the center, as centered as possible. Press it for 15 seconds. Peel away the KTM mask and reveal the beauty. Look at how cute that is. That heart just brings it all together. And now it's time for Melissa's. And same thing, pre-press, 5 to 10 seconds. Press it, peel it away, and reveal the beauty. This is it. Hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications, because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye. My shirt says it all. I'm definitely in my bling era.